Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and for this Reseller Friday I want to talk to you about adapting to a changing world. Recently in my area, and apparently some people have said it's nationwide, but I'm not 100% sure about that, but at least in my area about a dozen or two locations are affected by this. The Goodwills, which is a major thrift store in my area, they are shut down. And now this notice, I'll pop it up on the screen. You can see the notice they gave. This notice was from the 12th, but before that, it was a few days before that. So this has been going on for about 4 or 5 days now. The stores have been closed completely. No transactions except for at the bins locations. They just opened them up recently, and they're using a calculator and they're using paper they're writing down, and you pay cash only. So however their system is integrated, everything is down, and they only are accepting cash at the bins location, at least out here. I do not know how it's doing around the rest of the country, if the rest of the country is even affected at all. But my point in bringing this up is that hopefully they get that fixed soon, because that's affecting people. It does at least look like the employees are still there each day. When I drive by it, it looks like people are still there working. So hopefully they're still getting paid and everything's fine as far as that goes. But obviously it's costing a lot of money. It's not just costing the thrift store money, Goodwill, it's also costing resellers money. I've talked to resellers who are in a panic because, well, all these Goodwills are closed and I can't get any inventory. This is why it's so important that you are adaptable and swift in your decision-making skills, and also have a little bit of preparation for the changing world we live in. Now, I don't want you to get negative and think, oh no, doom and gloom. It's not the way it is at all. But you do need to have a lot of different options available for your inventory and for anything in your business, for your customers as well. There are people who are only on Amazon or only on eBay or only on Poshmark. Now, especially if you're just beginning, that's perfectly fine. That's what you should do. You should concentrate on one place, master that. And I say master it loosely because there's obviously always things to learn. The platforms are always changing, so you're never going to be completely mastering it, but you should have it down and know what you're doing and have a routine and have it figured out. But you need to have some other options available too. There's other platforms to sell on. Maybe you want to sell on Mercari. Maybe you want to sell on Etsy. Maybe you want to sell on Poshmark or Depop. There are plenty of options out there available to you. You might want to consider selling on them. As far as inventory goes, this is where, now this is going to be a little dangerous advice because I know how many resellers do things, and it's very insane in many cases. I'm going to suggest that you have a queue of items ready to go to list. Now, I have to be very clear. I'm not talking about a death pile. I'm not talking about where you just stack stuff in a corner somewhere and you don't list it. Or you list a few items here and there, but mainly you just add more to the death pile. You go out sourcing every day, you list very rarely or infrequently, and you don't list enough to get rid of the death pile, and you just keep adding more stuff to it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about where you have a plan of how many items you're going to get each day, and if you do source every day, you don't have to source every day. Maybe you get 100 items a week, and you have a plan to have at least a week or two worth of items ready to go in case you don't source at all. So you could literally go a week or two with no sourcing and still have all your inventory needs met. No business in the real world is going day by day. They don't have enough inventory for that day only, and they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's hard to run a business that way. It's too sporadic, it's not consistent, and it's really more like running it like a hobby instead of a real business. So I'm going to encourage you, when things like this pop up, where Goodwill's been shut down for 5 days or so now at the time of making this video, like completely shut down, you can't buy anything there. You can't even go in the store, it's closed. It doesn't affect me one bit. First thing, I have a queue of listings, at least on eBay. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of items drafted, ready to be listed, ready to be launched, ready to go. I don't even have to create any listings for weeks because I already got listings. All I gotta do is launch some listings each day, ready to go. I can even schedule them, not even have to do anything for weeks, except pack orders, obviously. But I don't do that so I can just do nothing. I do that so I have things ready in case something happens. What if my internet goes out? What if this happens? I'm not expecting anything bad to happen, but if it does, I have so many redundancies, nothing's going to affect me. God's given me great wisdom. He's given me great favor, and I know what to do, and I'm doing it, and I'm keeping myself. I got inventory. I have drafts already done, so my listings are ready to go each day. I have cross-listing software that enables me to cross-list those items I just listed on eBay to other platforms. Everything's simple and ready to go. When I used to be heavily focused in day trading, I had this wall of monitors in one of my offices. And I also had a corporate network system set up that had multiple internet providers linked into that router. And so if one of them went down, my main one went down, I had 2 other backups immediately, so I had 0 loss of internet. There'd be just like a little blip, not noticeable at all. I constantly had no outages in my internet. Now, I very rarely had outages anyway at that time, but I do live in the country, and sometimes there would be outages, and that didn't affect me at all because I had backups. I wasn't worried about it. It wasn't from some sort of panic, but it was just, I know this can happen. Sometimes my internet's down. And when you're day trading in particular, if you're down for even a few seconds, if it just happens to be at that exact time you need to make a trade, you could lose tens of thousands of dollars. My point of bringing that up is be wise. This is your business. Have things planned out and have enough inventory for a week or two. But like I said, not a death pile. I'm talking about inventory you're actually listing. Each and every day, you're taking from that inventory and listing it. You can add to it as long as you're taking away from that pile more than you're just adding to. You don't want to just be stacking up and making that pile huge, because that basically is just essentially a death pile. You're not getting stuff done like you need to be getting done. You're getting too much. You're buying too much inventory. You don't need to be doing that. But when things like this come up, you want to be in a position where you don't have to worry about sourcing. Oh no, my main location is down for 5 days. Instead, you'd be like, oh well, no big deal. I have a draft bank of listings ready to go for weeks and weeks on end. I have inventory ready to be listed. I don't need to go sourcing for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm good. One of the things many resellers miss is they're not running their business like a real business. You need to have plans. You need to have timelines. You need to have do you have a daily listing goal? Many people don't. They do it sporadically. Do you have a daily sourcing goal? Many people don't. They just do it sporadically whenever they feel like it. Now, of course, you're going to have times where, you're driving by a garage sale, you get more stuff than you needed for the day. No big deal. But what I'm encouraging you to do is make sure that those things you're getting are getting listed regularly, and that you have built up some sort of reserve of inventory that's ready to go that can be listed immediately. Maybe listings, if you're selling on eBay, for example, you can create drafts. Not every marketplace will allow you to do that, but on eBay, for example, you can. And if you're using some sort of cross-listing software, then use eBay as your main place. If you're using eBay, create those drafts, launch from those draft listings, and then use the cross-listing software to list from those drafts that you just got through listing on eBay to the other platforms. That's an easy way to do it. So you basically have drafts available for the other websites you're selling on. But just treat your reselling business like a real business. Set a goal. How many items you're going to list each day? Doesn't matter what it is. If it's 5, 10, 100, doesn't matter. It's not about what anybody else has done in the past or said they did, or people fantasizing about, I'm going to list 50 items today when you barely can list 10. Let's not be ridiculous here. You could list 50. It's certainly possible. But don't set goals for yourself that you haven't came anywhere close to just to make yourself lose. Make it easier for yourself to win. If you normally can list 10, what about setting a goal for 11? You can set a goal for 10, that's fine. As long as you have set this out as a plan of what you're going to do each day, how many listings you're going to make. Now, so for example, I'm talking about draft listings. If your goal is to list 10 items a day, well, you could create 12 listings a day and save 2 of those as drafts. Each and every day you keep doing that. Over the course of over a few months, you'll have 2 weeks worth of listings available to list in your draft bank. So that is something to consider. As far as your inventory goes, this is going to depend on you and your area. You know what goes on. Maybe your area has an influx at the first of the month. There's more inventory put out. That's the best time to source. So maybe you go source a lot of stuff right then at the first of the month. You get enough to last you for a few weeks or even a month, depending on what your listing goal is. If your listing goal is 2 or 3, you might be able to get enough items at the first of the month or whenever is a good time for your area to have enough inventory for the entire month. That's all right. And you can also go and get a little bit more, so you make sure you have a little bit of a buffer in case something happens to your schedule, you need to do something else. No big deal. You have inventory ready to go. The world will change, my friend. Now, you're not changing as a person, except you're growing, but your fundamentals are still the same. You're a good reseller. You know what you're doing. You're diligent in your endeavors. You're doing the best you can. You're legitimately doing the best you can. Not just saying that as an excuse, because a lot of people say that, but you're legitimately doing the best you can. You're going to do very well. And so all you got to do is just be consistent, set plans, and understand that as the world changes, you're going to adapt smoothly, easily, without any strain, without any stress, because you're not one of these people that's just approaching it like a hobby or approaching it like a job, where you're not really consistent, you don't have any kind of plan, you have no purpose, you're just doing it randomly. You're going to run your business like a real business. And if you do that, and you're consistent enough doing that, you'll start to see the fruits from your endeavors. You'll start to see that you're running a real, good, profitable reselling business that you can easily scale up because you've set parameters in place that all you need to do is duplicate that. Maybe hire an employee to help you duplicate what you're already doing that will improve your results. So my friend, I want to encourage you today. Make sure you are adaptable. Make sure you are adapting as the world is changing, and you'll have the greatest success you could possibly imagine. I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.